Hey guys, I just want to say congratulations on 500 episodes. I can't believe it has already been 500. I've been listening since pre-COVID. I was, I think, one of the earlier Patreons. And, just thank you guys for everything you do. I've definitely taken better vacations because of you guys. I've had, new ideas of things to do while I'm on my trip. But honestly, I just love listening to you guys. And I love, the relationships that we've made in the Patreon group and, our little circle of cruise friends. So thank you so much. I hope you guys have another 500 episodes. Thanks.
Hello, DCL podcast friends. It's Chad, and wanted to offer my congratulations on episode 500. What an amazing milestone. One of my favorite shows. So thrilled that I've gotten a chance to be on the show a few times, get to know you guys. I think I started with this show probably 7-8 years ago. I would start listening to it on my runs when I needed my Disney cruise fix. And little did I know that all these years later, the strangers that were talking to me through my AirPods would become such great friends over the years. So congratulations. Hoping for another 500 and see you real soon.
Hi, DCL podcast team. This is Derry, and I want to congratulate you on such an amazing milestone of 500 episodes. That is fantastic. Really have appreciated all that you do. I know it's a labor of love and lots of volunteer hours that you put into it. I take you with me on lots and lots of my runs, lots of my trips. I will save up episodes for as a reward to listen to when I've done something hard. And just has added so much to my life. It's sort of an educational escape that I really appreciate. So thank you again for all that you do. And I've really enjoyed being a part of it, a very small part of it. Thanks so much.
Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to cruise a little smarter. I'm your host, Lake, and I am certainly not alone for this special episode. How could I? Let me first welcome my co-host, Christy. Christy, how are you today?
Oh my God, I'm already getting emotional. And literally, this is my first sentence of the show. Hi, I'm well. How are you, Lake?
I am doing fantastic. I am especially excited, as I am for all episodes, but especially for this one, because we are celebrating the big 500 episodes.
This is exciting because you and I listened to our 400th episode today, and that was kind of the start of you co-hosting. You were already guest hosting or hosting occasionally, right? But you were it was just shortly after that Steve stepped back and you fully came on, more than just editing the shows, more than producing. So this is a huge milestone just for you and I individually.
Yeah, over 100 episodes, because we do have many non-numbered episodes, some bonus and mini shows in there, and many more of those to also come out. So we are actually over 500 uploads. We are not alone. We have to bring in the founder, the OG, the podfather, as we have called him in the past, Steve. Steve, how are you today?
Doing pretty good. Feeling old, I guess. I don't know. The podfather.
You are old, Steve.
Yeah, no, this is a huge milestone for you guys and for all of us for everybody who's listened, for everybody who's been part of this podcast over the years. Who knew it would keep going this long? And just a huge thank you to Lake for stepping in and helping Christy continue it going. So I enjoy listening to it each and every week when you guys bring a show up.
Well, it takes a tribe, and you took the first step. But there is another tribe that we also need to thank. They have the great joy of enjoying this episode live, and that is our Patreons, our
we
community.
Literally couldn't do it without them.
Absolutely. And they support the show each and every day, and we appreciate them so much. They are a beautiful little corner of the internet as well. Just such great information and helping each other. I just love it so much.
I agree. It's the best Facebook group that exists.
It is certainly my favorite. So once again, Patreons, thank you. You also heard at the front of this show from a couple of our Patreons that gave some audio clips, and you will hear a little bit more from them later. Just a reminder, you can join Christy and I on our first ever Patreon podcast cruise. You can join us July 18th to the 23rd on the Disney Destiny out of Fort Lauderdale. We are very excited. We've got quite a few members already signed up for us. You can use the Book with Christy link below to get in contact with her to book this. If you are, for whatever reason, already booked on that sailing, please shoot us an email and just let us know so we can get you added to the group. And they are so kind and touching. Thank you again to everyone that submitted those as well. As I said, we will hear some more of those once we get into the bulk of our episode. We are doing an episode that I don't think we've ever done before. And Christy and I were brainstorming ideas for this episode. Even up until today, we're like, well, we don't want to do the same thing we did for the 400th because we kind of did the origin story there. And we'll talk a little bit about some of that information again, certainly highlight some first episodes. But I was like, oh, I want to talk about like favorite ships and that sort of thing. I was like, wait, we have never done a top ship ranking episode. So that is what the main segment of our show is going to be today. We will get into that after we answer some questions and have a little bit of fun before that. But then we also invited our Patreons to participate in this. So we have our host ranking, which will be the DCL podcast ship ranking. And then we'll also have a Patreon ranking, which does differ from ours. Yeah. Yes, we are expecting and hoping that Nova can make an appearance. She did have a prior commitment that she is hoping to jump onto after that. So hopefully we will have the whole group together for a little family reunion, which we also love oh so much. And I think the last time was the 400th episode when we were all chatting in the same room. Now we have all collectively seen each other since then, just not all four of us in the same room.
Right.
But why don't I go ahead and get us into kind of our first mini segment. This is kind of our banter and just a little bit of history recap here. We're not going to go over the whole history of the podcast. Like I said, episode 400 is sappy and emotional and goes through all of that stuff. Listen to that episode in tandem with this one, to be honest, because they are both fantastic. But if you are interested in hearing about some of our first Disney cruises, first appearances on the podcast, I do have that information. So, of course, Steve founded the podcast. Episode 0, you can listen to him from the beginning and his wonderful Midwestern style voice that is oh so great for podcasting.
It's like my favorite voice to listen to on the podcast airways. Steve has such a pilot voice, like the best pilot voice.
They put us through a class beforehand. And
yeah,
so,
I'm sure.
Before you learn how to fly, you got to learn how to talk.
I love it. But if you want to hear Steve's first trip report, you can find that on episode 11. And of course, Christy joins the show very early on at episode 5. That is her first appearance of the show. But her first trip report actually happens before Steve's at episode 10.
Where did she go? I don't even remember now. What was it?
It had to be Canal Cruise.
Was it the Panama?
Oh, it must have been. I did not go back and look at what specific episode it was. I just got the episode numbers. And then Nova comes on for the first time at episode 103. I do know that is Nova's Alaska episode.
There was something about Nova when she got on that first time that just connected, I think, with Christy and I. And it was so funny and I think maybe we said this in episode 400 or something like that, but it was amazing. As soon as we got done that week, I think Christy and I were talking. It was like, we need to reach back out to Nova and see if she wants to join us with this whole podcast adventure. And so glad that we did that.
She's so descriptive and her storytelling is phenomenal. I am so incapable of properly telling a story. And so it was so nice to have somebody like Nova who could say all the things I can't say.
Nova also is just great of describing things in a way that is so descriptively outlandish and hilarious, but true.
Accurate.
She's got a very good sense of humor, that is for sure.
I agree. But if you're interested in where I come into the story, my first appearance is shockingly a Run Disney episode. It was a marathon weekend recap at episode 120. And then my first trip report airs at 1:36, which was me and Katie's honeymoon episode.
Which actually happened before that marathon, right?
Yeah, we recorded that months before.
Anyways, yeah, that was funny. We did the marathon episode, and then we're like, we need to do your first Disney cruise episode too. So
I think at that point too, we were like all planning a cruise together at that point as well.
yeah, probably one of the best ones on the Wish.
Top tier.
And now Steve and I actually just spent the afternoon planning our British Isles sailing together. But don't worry, we made sure to highlight every subway in the UK for us.
Okay, so and one of our Patreons actually posted that they took their kid, picked up a Subway for their kid today, and because they needed a little bit more food, and he was like, I'll just go and get you some Subway. So we did want to briefly talk about the origin of the Subway story because it has carried on for so long. Steve first made the comment that Palo was too expensive and that it was basically the same price to go to Subway and that Subway is just as good or something along those lines. Clearly, he didn't mean that, but that is what he said. And then we died over it. And then Amber also said that she likes more simple things like French fries and then Subway, and that she prefers to just like spend her money or something at Subway. So if you go to the highlight on Instagram at DCL Podcast, you can actually watch Nova react to the first Subway comments in the show. She places it in the feed. And it's gold. So you can listen to the first ones and see her face, which is everything right there. So definitely check that out.
What I was trying to say was
You didn't succeed.
It's $45 to get to Palo, and it's costing about $45 to get a Subway. And Palo is a much better deal, but it didn't come out that way because people were complaining about how much Palo was because it got up to $45. So anyways.
Back then. In the Patreon Facebook group, everybody now, for all of these years, will literally send pictures from every country and all of these locations of the Subway sign. It's like a tick that every time you see a Subway sign in a particular place, you have to be like Steve and Amber with their Subway comment. So
Lake and I will make sure that we find a Subway somewhere along the way on our.
You will. There's one by Trafalgar Square, which I also passed when I was in London. So you too will pass it.
There we go.
We will share Lady and the Tramping footlong. Patreon
Okay,
exclusive. Well, I do have maybe two more questions before we jump into the main segment of the show here. I did want to highlight, we've talked about this a couple times, but any basically favorite or memorable episodes or guests that you wanted to highlight. And I will go ahead and start. I have two off the top of my head that I wanted to highlight, very different aspects of shows and guests. The first one is the Lisa Ludolph Perlo, the CEO of Celebrity, or past CEO of Celebrity. I think that was just a really cool show. I think it was really great that we were able to get her on and have someone that high in the cruising industry. And I thought it was a really insightful episode. I felt like I was learning things through that episode, which is a highlight of a good episode. Of course, we always love when we have an I didn't know that type of moment. And that was just a really cool, unique, and interesting episode. The second episode for me is a very recent one, and that is an episode we did with now Patreon member Anna. And it was a first-time cruiser on the Dream episode. And I just thought, first off, Anna did a fantastic job. Shout out to Anna, again, in our Patreon group. But I don't know, her episode was just like so full of gratitude and so genuine. And I thought it was just a really sweet episode.
That was a good one. We had so many good ones.
I mean, yes, they all have many good things and tons of great information. But, you know, sometimes ones just stick with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Christy,
See?
do you have any?
Well, no, because I wasn't prepared. I think I came up with this idea and then didn't think we were actually talking about it still. And so I was unprepared. But I will say that one of the ones that was, and I don't have this guest name, I apologize, but the Eleuthero one that Steve and I did, it was so unexpected. It was one of those that I recorded. I told Steve this the other day when we recorded his Peru episode. I was like, I wasn't that excited about recording this episode. And here we are recording it. I love recording that Peru episode with Steve. And now I want to go on the Peru 8 because it was so, listening to his story was so magical. So wherever that comes out in the feed, make sure you listen. But the Eleuthera one was a get that Steve picked, that he like worked that guest. He scheduled that guest. And I was like, okay. And it was so good to hear his family's love for the island. And of course, Eleuthera, for people who might not instantly know what it is the location of Lighthouse Point at Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. And he just talked about how beautiful it is and how beautiful the people were. And he was correct. I mean, that is one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever been to in my entire life. And that is the reason Disney picked it, because it is just so beautiful. But go back and listen to that episode. Lake amazingly set it up so that you can search our episode catalog and they will pop up. So go and do a search. It was just such a good episode and will make you love the island even more.
Jimmy on episode 106, and it does a really good job of it's a good background on the island if you want to go back and take a listen to it.
Yeah. And popping off that on the website, we are still actively working on the website. I am working on retagging episodes right now, which will take me a very long while. But all of our recent episodes, you can now search by the tags on the right-hand side. You can search by embarkation port. You can search by port stops, as well as itinerary and ship. And I am slowly working my way through the backlog of tags there. So those will expand so that you can see all of our Eastern shows, all of our Western shows, that sort of thing. That will take a little bit of time.
You're amazing. And we've actually started to put in the show notes itself the different ports that we're going to hit so that people can actually look in the show notes to say, oh, hey, yes, this is going to discuss the location or a port that I want to experience one day. So even if it's maybe like a celebrity port, but Disney goes there, you can learn about it.
But Steve, it is your time to highlight some episodes.
All right. So there's too many episodes really everybody, just so many good episodes over the years, but there was like a couple of them that kind of stick in my mind, I guess. And one of the first ones, and I have to give a huge shout out to Brian, one of our Patreon supporters, was during COVID, and he was so good to play with us too. We did a show on him camping, and we did it all around his family camping, just like doing a DCL cruise. And so their port adventures were when they went like out on a hike, and then we talked about the food and their different dining experiences and everything like that. And I mean, I think that was just like one of those times where we're all stuck at home where we just needed, a time to like laugh a little bit and relax. And Brian's such a good sport. He's so good when he does his podcast about explaining things and talking about what they did and everything else. And that was just like one of my favorite shows. So,
well, we have some incredible timing before our main segment because the lovely Nova is joining us. Nova, how are you today?
Hi.
Oh my God. It's like the gang's back together. Look at Steve still has this closet studio. Right? You've gotten more nerd items behind you. Christy, you have a rose wreath of sorts. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Nova.
Hey, Nova.
I've missed you.
Oh, that is another like recent episode that I love was Nova and I's D23 episode. Yes, which was like 2 hours long. Like it was incredibly too long, but I loved every moment of it. And I just had fun because like I love D23. I've never gotten to attend, but of course Nova gets to attend. So Nova's always been like the D23 news person. So I was excited that I got to do that episode as well and just nerd out over all of the fun D23 news.
I love D23. I also hate it because it's stressful, but I love it.
Well, we all love a Disney hurry up and wait situation, don't we?
Yeah.
Christy could probably speak to this too. I think some of the best episodes were always the first time cruisers, just because the excitement.
100%.
And, yeah, hearing all of their experiencing things the first time. After you've done it a couple times, sometimes you get a little bit jaded maybe, or sometimes you get you get a little frustrated about how things go or something like that, or it doesn't go the way they did it 3 times ago. But those first time cruises are always amazing. And the last one, I would say, and this one caught me off guard, kind of, I guess, like we all have those episodes, was Deborah, one of your clients, Christy, who, when she sailed on the Galactic Star Cruiser, Because when she popped up on the screen, and Deborah is an amazing woman, but she didn't seem like somebody when I first saw her, and this is totally terrible, it's judging a book by its cover, as somebody that would go on and do something like this.
And how do you say it? Cosplay?
Cosplay? Yeah, cosplay. She came up with the whole backstory. She had the clothes and everything. And I mean, that was just hearing her excitement about being part of that and being able to step into something that even she admitted wasn't necessarily her thing and just embrace it I loved every bit of that.
Yeah, I did too. And that's another non-Christy genre, right? That is not a Christy show if there ever was one. And I was so couldn't stop listening. Yeah. Just wanted to hear the next thing that she had to say. Yeah, captivated.
So I think those are some of my favorite shows. I mean, all of them are great, and I don't want to put anything above any of the rest, because anybody that takes the time to come on a podcast and talk about their experiences and travels and share it with others is just amazing.
For sure. Nova, do you have a favorite episode that you can think of? I wasn't very prepared, so you don't have to be prepared either, but that you either participated in or recall listening to?
I feel like my probably most favorite episode was the episode we recorded after our Wish Cruise, the one where we all went on the Wish Cruise together. Just because, one, that was such a mixture of families and groups of friends in a fun way, and reliving it and talking about it together was fun. I also think we all had our own different experiences in that episode and different opinions. Also, it was our first time experiencing something new together as a podcast community, because this podcast was born after all the others. So I would say that's probably my go-to nostalgia episode.
And that cruise is my emotional feels cruise experience. I mean, the first time we all cruised together, and since then, and before then, I had cruised with Steve, and those are all so great. And Nova and I had cruised together a couple of times now too. And Lake and I have cruised together with our family, with our people. But that was the first one where we just bonded, I think, so much. And it was the excitement of the new ship. And like Nova said, our families were together, our people were there. And they all interacted well together. The kids interacted well together. And yeah, it's where we became, it solidified that we're a podcast family.
Yeah. Our first time in the Dino District, our first time even getting to see it together.
I knew that was coming.
I'll never forget just dancing in that stairwell with you all.
I was not there.
Also, top 5 meals of my lifetime was that Palo dinner. Maybe top 3. I think about that all the time. And it wasn't just the food. The food was good, fine, but it was
the food was fine.
It was the private dining room. It was us laughing, us without our kids. It was just so much fun.
Hours of fun. Steve stole the water from the water bucket multiple times to give us water.
Yeah. Steve kept being we're all alone in here. Let's just steal some water. Right. No, it was perfect. Also, since then we've adopted Mason. We've gotten to you all in so many other scenarios. It really did feel like a defining point for my family. It was Mason's first ever real vacation. So for all those reasons.
We couldn't say his name then?
We couldn't back then. No. He was just a mysterious child.
Which is why Mason's face has a smiley face on it when
I know, but we could even go back and post the real thing.
I know.
He's like, I always want to be in pictures.
Lake didn't have that picture, and Lake posted it when we weren't talking to each other, but yeah.
Talking about that too, I specifically remember us one of the last nights of the cruises, the adults sitting down in the lounge having a drink, and Nova and Seth telling us about how Mason was this is the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. And all of us just being an absolute sap of a mess about that.
Yeah. No, I feel like to this day, Mason's Mom, can I please get a summer job? I really want to work over the summer. And I'm no, you're going to have to work for the rest of your life. And we're making up for lost time and giving you as many childhood experiences as we can until you're 18. So right now he's at camp in High Sierras. And in a couple weeks, we leave for Hawaii. We're going to Aulani. We're going to the Big Island. All these things are things that I think were like born out of his learning how to travel and learning how to enjoy it, which makes me feel like that was a formative trip for sure.
I love that. Also, there will never be a ship release as hyped as The Wish, as long as Disney continues this ship launching schedule, because they will have new classes, new ships, but the gap between the Fantasy to The Wish and just the absolute difference in like the times of social media from the Fantasy to The Wish, there's just never going to be something that hype. And for us to all be able to be together and experience that ship for the first time was so special.
Our cruise, because of all the cancellations, ended up being like 5 cruises in from the inaugural. So if it was even that many, it was just
a brand new ship. They still didn't have everything ready.
Nope.
Well, I think we should get started on our main segment. But first, let's hear from a couple Patreons.
Hi, Christy, Lake, and DCL podcast crew. It's Diane Costigan. I'm losing my voice probably because I just got off The Wish. But I just wanted to say a quick congratulations on your 500th episode. You guys have been such a huge part of our DCL journey, starting with our very first cruise back in 2019. And I can't imagine taking a Disney cruise without listening to the podcast. So thanks for being such a tremendous resource and also a great source of entertainment. I guess my funny question is, what is up with those megaphones on Castaway Cay that the lifeguards use? Every time we're there, we just laugh at how silly it is because you can never understand anything that they're saying. Anyway, congrats again, and I'm looking forward to tonight's episode.
Hi, DCL Podcast. Happy 500 episodes. I have been listening since early 2022 and getting ready for my and my husband's first Disney cruise, and I have not stopped since. Even when I'm not taking cruises, I look forward to new episodes of the podcast so I can live vicariously through your guests and get that little Disney cruise fix that I definitely need to get through my day. So thank you so much for what you do, and I look forward to the next 500 episodes.
Well, it is time for our main segment, and to do a segment of the show that, as I said, we have not done before. We are doing the ship ranking. So how this has worked is all 4 of us have ranked the ships individually, and then those were given scores of 6 through 1, obviously 6 being your highest rated, this is the best ship, 1 being this is the lowest rated ship. And then I have taken those scores to cumulatively make the DCL podcast ship ranking. And what is fun about this is scores can be strong-armed by people giving ships higher scores than someone else. There is truly a very interesting range here that we will go over. And on top of that, we did ask our Patreons to participate. So at the time of recording, I do have the Patreon scores, which also vary from ours, which I think is pretty cool. So we will go ahead and start with the lowest, number 6. Funny enough, the cruise that we just raved about moments ago, the Disney Wish, ranked last for us.
Not a surprise. I'm going to start. I ranked her last. And all of you know that I love the theming of The Wish, Cinderella and princesses, and the beautifulness of it so much more than the Treasure. But they said that the Treasure was a week-long cruise and needed more, and they put more into her. And so The Wish, somebody has to be last, and it was The Wish.
While we're talking about the Treasure, Christy's the only one that has sailed the Treasure. And for both us and the Patreon rankings, you were allowed to theoretically rank a ship based on where you feel it would be. So that is also something that will factor into these scores significantly. Steve, how about you?
Well, I put her last also, but for me, it's hard because I'm sure there's like a ton of people out there that their first sailing or second sailing has been on the Wish and they love the Wish. And I totally get that. I totally understand that. And when you sail on her and you go backwards, like say like the magic of the wonder, there's just so many they're just older ships in so many different ways. But what gets me about, and I'm just I'll lump them in and show my hand here as I put the treasure with the Wish, is I just don't like that class of ship. There's some amazing things with the theater, with the shows that they're doing. I love the entertainment that they've added to it, especially, the pop-up entertainment and everything else. But the small spaces when it comes to dining, and also the small spaces when it comes to like the adult themed areas, which we go to, which makes it harder to get into. So now that takes away from, to me, it kind of took away, like we really wanted to go into Nightingales. And every time we walked by, it was completely packed. And so to me, it's not just Disney. All of the cruise lines are doing it to some extent at that level where there's more things to do, but the spaces are a lot smaller and makes a challenge for you to really enjoy your vacation when, the older ships, you can pop up into any of them and generally get into anything. So
I'll go ahead and go next because while Christine and Steve both ranked it last, I had it ranked second to last.
Okay.
But I will actually admit that I think the Wish, sans the treasure ranking, which will tell you probably where the treasure is going to be, would probably rank third for me for ships I've been on, because I like the variety of all the ships that offer. Now, of course, you all know, like, Magic has my heart. I do love that. I love the fantasy very much, but I like that we have this variety of ships. I like the theming and the intricacy that has gone into some of those spaces on the Wish. But, the Wish has some cons that exist as well. I just think that the theming of the Wish versus where I would theoretically put the treasure, it bumps the Wish down for me. And that's why it is number 2. But yes, the Wish has some weird problems, some new decisions that were interesting, some dead ends. But I think it's still a great ship. Like, the coffee is more accessible. While you can't enjoy the Cove specifically, you get 2 other great options that I think are cozy and cute and you want to sit at. The Grand Hall is a spectacle. There is no other atrium that you can lay on the floor and watch a show on the ceiling on.
Most people that have cruised it first and then cruise another ship say that the Wish is their favorite. And so we did not cruise it first. And so I think that definitely attributes to our love for it.
And totally, it depends upon who your family makeup, your time is, your cruising and everything else. And I totally freely admit my views are jaded because of that.
Well, I'm going to pass this to Nova, who had it ranked as number 2.
I do have it ranked as number 2. You're right, Lake. That's so accurate. Thank you.
Wait, what ships have you been on, Nova?
I've been on everything except for the treasure.
Okay.
So I have a resume, Christy. Okay. So here's the thing. I really like the Wish. I think that it's an evolution for the brand to create smaller spaces. I think Disney fans have the ability to like ruin things by like sensationalizing small spaces and then fighting over getting into them. And if the ship were used the way it was designed to be used, everybody would just sort of cycle through the many, many, many different themes that they have on offer, right? There's like more IP and themes in that ship, but the specific things that I really like on the Wish are the restaurants, all, but especially Frozen, the room design and
Did
the
you
like
the food in Frozen?
Oh no, but I was looking at Elsa.
I know. We were letting it go and we were living our best life. Okay.
No, I was
transforming,
crying along to that person singing Show Yourself. Tears down my face while Steve just sort of like bopped his head along sympathetically. But I think that, yeah, I loved that. I think the sort of the introduction of the like kiss goodnight piece, I think that's very Disney and it brings the parks in a way that is like the fireworks show. And I will go to Disneyland and not do a single ride. But if I'm there during the fireworks, you will find me on Main Street and I will be watching that show. Right? Like, I care about the kiss goodnight. And my understanding is they've got that in the treasure and the Destiny. Everyone's going to get a little kiss goodnight show, whatever it looks like for that ship. Love that. The rooms, I think, just have slightly smarter design choices. They feel more modern to me. I think one thing that stresses me out in the older rooms is just the like lack of updates to soft goods and like things that happen there. I just wish that Disney maybe would be like, if we're going to charge more than any other cruise line in our class for this 30-year-old ship, we're going to at least make sure the rooms are like extremely updated. So anyway, I liked the design of the rooms. I'm glad that they kept the things that worked before and added some fun new design flourishes. The rooms feel like a little bit more Disney with the IP included. I think the Tower Suite is like a fun little aspirational thing, but it's probably like my least favorite thing about the new ships. And then last but not least, I think my genuine most favorite thing is that bar space off of the atrium that is on the Wish. It is Tiana's. Yeah, that feels like it brings much needed life, like just around the corner from the atrium. And I love that. It's like a really cool space. I spent probably more time in that bar than any other bar on the ship. And yeah, I liked it. I loved it. I want more of it.
All right. That was number 6, The Wish. We're going to move to number 5, the OG, the Disney Magic.
I just appreciate that my rankings are fitting into people's rankings.
That is true. Christy is 2 for 2. So I will actually take it back to Nova because Nova had the Magic ranked last.
Okay. I think I shouldn't bury the lead here. You are going to find that I have ranked these ships in the order of their release, going in reverse order. Listen, it's just got to be because these talking points are going to spoil it for you. That is because I think that progress, creativity, new developments, growing things is the most attractive thing to me about the Disney brand. I get that people love nostalgia, but for me, the Magic feels like the first ship. Honestly, actually, the Wonder might feel like the first ship that Disney built. The Wonder vibrates you into another dimension when you're on the back of it. But I digress. The Magic feels to me like the first ship built. And I do think that the smaller layout is brilliantly used. I love the nostalgic feeling that I get when I'm on it. I like that they make occasional small updates here and there. But I think the longer the itinerary on the Magic, the less and less you spend on the ship. The more and more you're like, I got to get off the ship because I've done everything there is to do. And I think that's just a piece of my Disney philosophy, is that building new things, creating new things is a part of it. And if they had come back to the Magic and said, we're going to do like a 2-month dry dock and we're going to totally revamp it like they did back when they built the Dream, I might feel different. But for now, it's still the oldest ship to be updated even. And to me, that feels like a missed opportunity, especially when they charge what they charge for these ships.
All right, Christy, this was your number 5 or your second lowest.
I don't have much to say about it. She's fine. I love the walking track that you can go all the way around the ship. But I had to make a priority between the Wonder and the Magic. And we'll talk why the Wonder is where she's located when we get to her.
All right. Funny enough, I had the Magic ranked higher than Steve. So, Steve, you were up with the Magic being right in the middle as your number 3.
Yeah, it was a tough one. But, I love a museum, and we were just talking about the British Museum. And so when you get on the Magic and it's got that museum quality that Nova is not as excited about, it feels like I'm a feel home. But no, the Magic to us and our family was special because just so many amazing sailings when she was the ship over in Europe. And, she was the one that went to the exotic destinations, the ones that all the rest of the ships didn't go. But I have to honestly admit that she's got a little bit long in the tooth. And between the Wonder and the Magic, I think the Wonder shines just a little bit more than the Magic does these days. I also like Tiana's over Tangled. Same. Yeah, Tiana's is an amazing restaurant. That being said, I do love that class of ship. I like the smaller amount of people that are on board generally. I think it's got just as busy a vibe and just as good a vibe as the Fantasy and the Dream and the Wish, as far as feeling like there's stuff going on. But I do like on your port days when there's less people getting off and on the ship. I don't know. That's not really selling her too much, but she is the OG and she'll always have a special place in our heart.
So is it just Nova and I that put her in the bottom?
You and Nova put it in the bottom. Me and Steve put it in the top, but it was not quite high enough to bump it up higher than number 5 because the Magic was my number 2.
That doesn't surprise me at all, actually. That is 0 surprises.
I think part of it is we had such a great sailing on our Magic. it was going and experiencing the original ship in the fleet. And I was just so charmed because at that point there was no template, no one saying, you know, these are the themes you have to go with. Like, I just found it so charming because of that, because they were really just like trying whatever, and it still all worked. Like, it was charming. The theming is wonderful. Like, it was great. The adult pool area is my favorite of the fleet in the Magic and the Wonder. You get just one nice big pool that has actual depth to it. And also they do live music out there. The Cove is right there. And then your actual adult space is a little bit more centralized. We were just talking in the show today how nice like Keys and Cadillac is, even though it's not like outlandishly in your face theming. Like, it's just well themed for what it is. And yeah, again, the OG ship, I think I just love everything they tried and did with that ship. And I was very charmed by her. But that will bring us into number 4. And this is such an interesting ranking once I get into the end and we get into Patreon rankings as well. No one's favorite ship, no one's least favorite ship, the Disney Dream. Well, funny enough, me, Steve, and Nova all have it ranked equally as our number 4s as well. So in line with where our ranking is, I guess that makes sense. So I will go ahead and just continue speaking. Again, love the Dream, but I think what they did with the Fantasy is a little bit better. I like some of those spaces. I think the adult space is a little bit more interesting. Not that the Dream is bad at all. Unfortunately, the Dream was kind of stuck with those 3 and 4 nights for the longest time, and now it's kind of thrown into whatever sailing it's supposed to be. I think it will, since it looks like it is going to continue to take the European track after the Fantasy comes back, is what we're seeing. I think it will maybe have a more special place in people's heart over the year if that continues. And I think that is good for the Dream. But again, just kind of right in the middle there for me.
Okay, well, my middle ranking is not a surprise because I have the ships ranked in order of advancing the story. But I will say the Dream is our first ever cruise. Seth and I went on that as sort of like year after we got married, post honeymoon sort of vibe. And it was my introduction to the brand. It's what made me fall in love with it. It was my first time on Castaway. It was my first time to Nassau and also not getting off the ship. It was like my first. So for all those reasons, I do have a big nostalgia factor for it. But it is also maybe like lacking innovation compared to the Fantasy. I think you hit the nail on the head, everyone who ranked the Wish a little bit lower than me, because one thing about these ships designed for 3 and 4 night sailings is they don't try as hard to like put all the different bells and whistles and entertainment. And I think the Dream had to sort of make up for that with these longer sailings that it's going on now. But in the beginning, it didn't, right? So I can't even remember what was on the Dream when I first sailed. It was probably like that one about that little girl in the flower. The one who's like, "Daddy, your flower is not growing." But yeah, so I don't know.
I still think of you every time somebody talks about that show. And so many people are like, "It was my favorite show." And I was like, Nova's dying.
Yeah, I think Disney now is like, maybe we lay off of the like 30-year-olds playing literal children. And now all the children are just puppets, and I'm here for it. That's fine. You can have puppet Anna and Elsa all the time, but don't make a 30-year-old be a 10-year-old. Anyway, who else put it in the middle?
Steve.
Yeah, I feel like the Dream's like Philadelphia. Bear with me here. It's like the ship that wants to be noticed, right? And it's stuck between New York and DC. And, New York's the financial capital and DC's the, I guess, what is it? It's like the Fantasy's like New York or something like that. And somebody else is like DC. And the Dream just wants to be noticed. And she just gets lost in the mix. But she's got some really amazing parts to her. I think the 687 bar is probably my favorite, one of my favorite bars, because it celebrates the ship. I mean, I'm interested in shipbuilding and everything like that. And as amazing as the IP is that they've come out with the Wish and the Treasure, I think it's pretty cool to be able to go into a bar like that and see the celebration of the people that helped build that ship and how it was built. So they even have their own beer, 687 beer, which is kind of cool. So I think the Dream has some pretty cool touches, but to your point, like they they outdid themselves with the fantasy between those two classes ships. And I think she just gets lost in the middle. But she's a great ship. And it's the best picture I've ever taken a ship ever was the Dream in Olden, Norway last year. I love that picture. So
that's a good picture.
Yeah, she looked amazing. So I love them all, really.
We are picking our favorite children. But Christy, this was your number 3.
I know. And actually, I thought I put her at number 4. So honestly, I think my 3 and 4 really tie. Realistically, she belongs at number 4. She's fine. She's a fine ship. I look forward to spending more time with her next summer. I would say my favorite itineraries weren't on her, and that made a difference for some of my rankings for sure. And it's different, obviously, because of my number 1, which is not a secret, I think, to nobody. And they're the same class of ship, but I feel like people love the Art Deco design, right? That's what it is. For her, they just like lose themselves over it. And for me, I'm like, it's fine. I like the color red, maybe with blue. I don't know. The adult spaces are superior than some of the other ships because they're just so good. But then the newer class. But yeah, she's just placed there.
And the one thing that we're missing, nobody's touched on this yet, is Admiral Donald in the lobby of the Dream.
See, more reason
probably
not to pick her.
Probably the best lobby statue in the fleet, and once again underrated.
I have to amend my ranking. I forgot about Donald.
I mean, that is kind of arguably the weakest of the statues, to be honest.
Surely, I mean, definitely the weakest.
Let's move on to top 3 now. And only a couple options left, so I think some of us can guess where this is going. But number 3 between us is the Wonder. And this is interesting because 2 of us have it in the top 2. 2 of us have it in the bottom 2. So we will go ahead and start with me, who had it last.
Last?
Last. I had the Wish ranked above it.
I'm shocked.
Go to Alaska on her. You didn't do some of these amazing itineraries that she has.
That's what it is for me because, I love the Magic, but I've sailed on the Magic much more recently. The Wonder was my first ship, which kind of breaks the idea of the first ship being your favorite or ranking higher, funny enough. But it's been so long. And, Tiana's is amazing. Cadillac Lounge, we were just raving about on another episode. And it's got some absolutely phenomenal itineraries. As much as I love Alaska, I did not get to experience Alaska on her. And I'm sure if I sailed on her like more recently, I would have a higher opinion. But I'm kind of just like washed out on my Wonder experience, I guess you could say. Like it's been so long. I've been on so many other ships that I just don't really have like a strong opinion towards it anymore. And it's not to say that it's a bad ship. I'm sure I would go back on. I'd be like, oh yeah, this is better than the Magic. But I don't have that opinion right now. And it's really, truly like 100% personal. It should not be a surprise where Nova had this ranked, or number 5, I should say.
Yeah, lower. The Wonder is also the ship I've been on the most because it sails out of LA, and pretty much every other Disney ship has been a one and done for me. In fact, every Disney ship has been a one and done. The Wonder's the only one I've been on twice. So I don't not like it, but I sail on the Wonder more because it's here in LA. Like there's no other reason. And I do like Tiana's more than Tangled. I wish that they could actually make good beignets. What a weird choice to not make good beignets. But I like the updates that the Wonders had. I will say that we literally had to have our cabin moved because we were on the Wonder and the vibration was so bad. And so I'm like, what do you do about that? And one of the things, or because Steve is like a shipbuilding nerd, one of the things that we talked about back in the day, which remains true, is that the Wonder and the Magic were both built in 2 halves and then like welded together in the middle.
Only the Magic was. The Wonder has a false seam. They
really?
Put a false, they put a false
to make
seam
it look like the Magic.
Make it look like the Magic.
So how was it built? In pieces?
No, it was built one full piece. So the Magic was the only one that was built that they floated it together.
Anyway, I'm glad that you stopped me from being incorrect, Steve, because I hate being incorrect. But I would just say, like, yeah, I like the Wonder. I would absolutely sail on it again. Being on any Disney ship is better than on no Disney ship. But, it could be plussed up, especially the cabins. Go in there, put some new stuff.
Well, that takes us to Christy, who had it as number 2.
So here's the thing. some of my best cruises were on the Wonder. The Panama Canal cruise was like right there at the top of, definitely for like location. When we start adding in cruises with people, it makes it more difficult to figure out where I rank different trips. But the Alaska cruise on the Wonder was amazing. And so for those reasons, and Tiana's is better. So Rapunzel's is fine and great and cute and all of the things, but Tiana's is a million times better. I mean, I just really like that music. So yeah, the Wonder is the ship that Blake like left his chair to go and dance around the restaurant with the waitress, with our assistant waitress on our cruise. And he never left to go with like a stranger in that way and just like lived his best little 5-year-old life. I don't even think he was 5 yet, dancing away with her and just going through the Panama Canal with him, being amazed. That's why, even being in Alaska with him as a 10-year-old, that's why that ship is second for me.
Well, unsurprisingly, this was Steve's number one, the person who is platinum on the Wonder alone.
For a lot of the same reasons that Nova say, because she's out here on the West Coast. And I'm glad she's out on the West Coast, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so I love this class of ship. I like the smaller class of ships. I've got the same experience as Christy. Our first sailing was on the Wonder to Alaska. And every time I walk into Triton's, I can look back at the table that we sat in where Alex, when the last night, fell asleep in Anawake's arms, and he missed out being able to learn the magic trick that our waiter had promised him.
Aww.
Yeah, but it was good. It was funny. It's a longer story than that, but just all the special memories that we have on that ship as a family from when the kids were little, and then they get big, and then they don't want to hang out with you as much. And Nova I know you're going through that too, Nova, right now, as you see as Mason gets bigger. But the other thing, like Palo, you go up to Palo and you walk in, and they've got actual books that they bought from Italy. They've got like a little museum up there.
I've never noticed that.
Yeah, they've got. Do you remember you used to sign into it? They had like an actual book from Italy. Yeah, and Palo means pole, and it all comes from Venice. So they've got the actual masts from Venice that are back there. The Cadillac Lounge, French Quarter now, a nice update. Just a great place to hang out before or after dinner drink and stuff. They actually have updated the rooms. Soft goods maybe not so much, but they've actually got USB ports where for Fantasy and Dream still need to get theirs. But and the last part, if you like Palo and you like an open, what am I looking for? An open kitchen. I love that. Nothing better than sitting in the back, looking out over the ocean as you're sailing, enjoying your dinner, and having that open kitchen behind you. So yeah, the Wonder's got a special place in our heart, and that's why she's number one.
Classic ships do have the best Palo layout. I could not deny that at all. I love that Palo layout so dearly. But we've got two ships left, the Treasure and the Fantasy. So we're going to talk about number 2, the Disney Treasure. And we are going to start that off with Steve.
So wait a minute,
ranked number 5.
So only Christy's been on the Treasure, and the Treasure's number 2. Wow.
This is correct.
You're not allowed to question the logic of other people's vote.
I'm not going to.
What did you rank it as?
Number 5.
Number 5. I'm going to let you guys talk because she deserves a better ranking than number 5.
You have your ranking, Steve.
I love the overall theming. I can't wait to eventually experience the Haunted Mansion Lounge. I love the idea that they've got all the pop-up stuff. But, I think honestly, really what I need to do is sail on that class of ship again. I've only been on it once with the Wish, and I think I hold that against it.
You're still going to hold it against it, Steve. None of the problems that you have with that class of ship has been resolved. There's just more entertainment options, and the show Choose Your Adventure is just so good. Yeah. Just so good. That's in Sarabi, which Amber reminded me as we were walking through the ship for the preview that we kept calling Sriracha because we could not think of the name. And Sarabi is actually very beautiful. But anyway, did you have more to say, Steve?
No, I'm going to let you continue on with it. But you know what? There's another class of ship coming that's going to be in between the...
Oh, I cannot
wait.
I sent the text to Lake and put her the Treasure 4. But the reality is I've already answered that I think the Dream and the Treasure are swapped and that the Treasure can be third. Because of the uniqueness of what they did to that ship. They tried to solve some of the problems that the Wish had of what are people going to do on the ship. And again, you have to remember, like, some of us have been on 20 cruises, right? Or 15 cruises, over 10 cruises. So, like, we have a lot of data and opinions about these ships. And so I feel like they tried to solve some of those problems. I liked her better than I thought I would. And Moana is just absolutely amazing. Absolutely worth cruising on the Treasure. Nova, you would die. And I saw that show twice on the last day of the 7-night cruise that I took. Oh, and I did that 7-night cruise with Liz, and that made it amazing as well. One of our Patreons and friends. And like, she's a good ship. She's obviously not the best, but they did a good job of fixing some of the things, in my opinion, that needed to be fixed better.
Well, that takes it to me, who had it ranked as number 3. So, as I said, in a theoretical ranking where the Treasure doesn't exist, the Wish would probably be my number 3. But if you just take everything I like about the Wish still exists on the Disney Treasure, but the themes that they've gone with the Treasure just absolutely strike a chord with me. Periscope Pub, Skipper's Society, just all like a step above what I don't hate on the Star Wars Lounge. Haunted Mansion has 100% upscaled that space 1,000%, which is even more exciting for sure. I just don't hate on the Star Wars venue.
But like, I feel like for you with all your little tiki cups back there, you would particularly like the Haunted Mansion because you could add a tiki cup or 2 or 3 or 4 to your collection.
Which I absolutely would do. Yeah, everything that I enjoy about the Wish still exists on the Treasure, but the adventure theming of the Treasure, I just know when I get on it, I will eat up. And that is why it is ranked at my number 3. And Nova, this is your number 1, the new and shiny.
I've never been on it, but it is the newest.
Let me just say this. Lake said before we started recording, or maybe we already were recording for the Patreon and the pre-show or whatever, that Nova likes all the new shiny things. And he didn't have your rankings yet because you sent them when you came to join the show.
He was smirking. When I sent them, he texted me and was like, "Are these in release order?" And I was like, "Yes, and I have talking points." Because the point here is, for me, Disneyland, Disney World, and by extension, the ships, all of the things in the parks and resorts portion of Disney as a company should be about progress and moving forward. I get the nostalgia piece, but they're bringing nostalgia. There's a Haunted Mansion bar. Like, are you kidding me? That's really cool. And I think in the grand tradition, they're even bringing up like old designs from the OG Imagineers. Like, hey, we tried to do a fish tank in the original mansion, didn't quite work out, but we could do it here, right? Like, there are things that they are able to do that make that cool. Also, I might be wrong, so tell me right now if I am, but is this the one with Coco or Lion King?
Coco.
Lion King will be on the Destiny.
Great. Don't care about that as much. Coco, I have been campaigning for a Coco restaurant. It is the perfect dining venue. There is music, there is Mexican food, there is like a precedent for Coco shows here in California, at least. We have them every single year. And there's really cool puppets, and I love it. And honestly, of classes or groups or types of food, Mexican food is way easier to prepare and serve to large groups of people and not have it taste bad. So for all those reasons, I feel like it would be a great restaurant. Haven't been there, don't know if you like it or not. And if you don't, sorry. Is the Dino District still on it?
I think so. I mean,
there we go. That's obviously a plus 10. You know, I also think the Adventureland bar that they put in where the Tiana is, right? That's what's there now.
Society.
Yeah, that right. But that whole thing, the like Society of the Adventurers or whatever, is also like a fun thing that's not based off of an IP. And I want Disney to do more things like that too. So I just feel like they got to be super creative. They got to do super fun things. Also, I have never been on a cruise, Disney or not. I have never been on a cruise where I didn't watch Moana. Doesn't matter if it is a Disney ship or a non-Disney ship. I am in my room watching Moana. And the fact that they have a Moana show, are you kidding me?
So good.
And I feel like I got a book on the treasure.
No, you do. And you need to go to it twice. If they have the matinee or if it's a 6 o'clock and 30 business, you have to go. He really loved it.
Do they do chips and salsa instead of a bread service? Because also iconic. Wait, on both menus? Sorry, I wish I knew more about the chip I ranked number 1.
Remind me.
And the lobby statue is Aladdin and Jasmine flying on a magic carpet.
It is. Off
iconic.
To the side.
What's the kiss goodnight? They do a little like lantern show above.
Too late for Christy.
Oh, right.
In other news, look for the Lake and Nova and Family Sale the Disney Treasure Show.
Oh my God, please do it.
We have to. Okay, let's make it happen.
I am all for that. But we have one more ship to talk about. Unsurprising, the beautiful Disney Fantasy tops the list here.
Who ranked it number 1? Not Nova.
So you and I ranked it number 1, Christy. Steve ranked it number 2.
Okay.
And Nova still gives it a respectable number 3. So it is in our all of our top 3 ships. But that takes it back to Nova to discuss it first.
Oh, because I liked it the least, right? I love that ship. I love the layout. It still has a running track. I think that's very practical. I like that it was designed for 7-night cruises. I think that's great. Also, I like that aqua coaster, whatever it's called. I know it's Donald themed, but besides that, it's fun. And there's, it sort of is the inspiration to the Aqua Mouse. I love how also none of us mentioned the Aqua Mouse once as a reason to sell on the new ships. And I mentioned the Dino District no less than 6 times. But I will say that the Fantasy, the one time I did sail it, felt like opulence. It felt like a decadent, classy ship. And I don't know, maybe it's because it's just the right mixture of like nostalgic Disney and new shine. But like, I really just like those ships. Also, I miss the like sort of forced perspective design of the atrium a little bit. And I like that the Fantasy keeps that going. And have they gotten a themed restaurant yet on the Dream and the Fantasy? Nope. Okay. So
I'm not sad about that.
Okay.
I'm good with there not being a themed restaurant.
I will say I do love the Cove Cafe on this class of ship. I love the way that they give you a little glimpse into the adult-only pool area while you're sipping your coffee. So that's another thing that I like about this class. And yeah, it's great, great ship. I hope they bring it permanently to the West Coast. Can it fit?
No.
Can it fit
Boo.
in the Panama Canal, Steve?
It can now because the Panama Canal was widened, but also boo. No, keep her here. I think she's always going to stay at Port Canaveral.
All right, Steve, you're number 2, the Fantasy.
So I think Nova hit it on the head there. That it just she feels opulent when you walk on board, from Flapper Mini, the statue, and the lobby to. I love that lobby. I really do. I mean, the treasure with the magic. I mean the treasure of the wish with all the bells and whistles is cool, but there's something magical about stepping onto the Fantasy, and you just feel it throughout the whole ship. You get to, from the tube to Ooh La La, which is amazing music in the evenings there, to the Carousel Bar, where we've seen so many different musicians play. The Cove, as you said, that looks out on the adult space is just a nice place to spend the day. You want to go there. You want to be up there. You want to spend the time and be in those places. And the Aqua Mouse, I enjoy it as well too. So always riding the Aqua Mouse at night in the lights in the dark is kind of a fun thing to do. If you've never done that, get up there and do that. So I'm going to go with you. And I think it's just that opulence feel of the Fantasy, and she's just an amazing ship.
Well, Christy and I spend a lot of time talking about the Fantasy and highlighting how much we love her. So I will keep it brief. I love the ship. The adult spaces are some of my favorites in the entire fleet, and we've just had a really good time, and I'm excited to sail her again here in just a couple months. And I will push it to Christy because it was both of our number 1s.
Obviously, anybody that knows me at this point, listens to the show, knows that Minnie in her peacock dress for the 7-night cruises, formal night, is just top tier for me. I love that ship. I love the staircase. I love the peacock feathers. Does it have anything to do with Disney or cruising? No, not that I can think of, but I love it. I love, as Steve said, the carousel bar. We would, when we cruised together, we would have happy hour there in between our dinners. So I would have already eaten. He's on his way to dinner. And that was like great music. It was so fun just sitting in the corner, just having that time together. The satellite falls on this ship is the absolute best. So the adult only area, there's so much of it. And I think that even when they go to extend the concierge lounge, there's still going to be plenty of that top deck adult only area. She's the ship that I'm sure, sailed more than 10 times on as well. This was the ship we would travel the most for. Even being able to take shorter cruises on her now is amazing. I just love this ship and always want to sail her.
I think the Feathers are Disney Cruise Line because that's your Disney Cruise Line and that's your experience of it. It doesn't have to be what the company
doesn't have to
wants.
be an IP thing.
It doesn't have to be an IP thing. The best lounge, which I didn't even say was Meridian. The best lounge you can spend an evening in is Meridian with just that view as the sun sets in the back, and the whole theming is about travel, and you're sitting on these seats that are like the old timey leather from the old suitcases. Used to have. Yeah.
Yep. And they have like actual travel maps on the tables or whatever there.
And every time we go up there, Anaway and I just like, where are we going to go next? What are we going to do next? It makes you want to go. So I think that's a huge part of Disney Cruise Line.
Also, it's the superior Skyline.
Yes.
Skyline has additional scenes on the Fantasy that it doesn't have on the Dream.
I've spent the least time in that bar.
I love that bar.
I am so glad. What we didn't talk about, which I'm a little bit surprised Nova didn't bring it up, was the artwork on the Wish and the Treasure. And frankly, that could bring that ship like to the number one. It's not really number one, but it could bring it up because that artwork is so amazing. What is the name of your artist, Nova? Nicholas
Smith. Yeah.
Yeah. So he did the beautiful Cinderellas, just going through all the different women, helping each other out that are Cinderella. And then he did on the Treasure, he did Jasmine, but like a newer version, right? But an artistic version of it again, showing her evolving. And he's just such an amazing artist. But besides just that, there's so many gorgeous pieces like the moss, Moana that's on the Treasure. Just, you could literally spend all of your time and frankly, all of your money, because you could buy a lot of that artwork, just buying up every piece of that art. It's just so remarkable. That is a place that Disney definitely shined on that class of ship.
Well, we do still have one more ranking to go over. But first, let's hear a little bit more from our Patreons.
Hello, DCL Podcast, and congratulations on 500 episodes. This is Brian Call coming to you live from London, England, between the River Thames and Trafalgar Square. I can't think of a better way to celebrate 500 episodes of the DCL Podcast than taking a bucket list trip inspired by all of the great European episodes over the years. Congratulations on 500 episodes.
Hello, DCL Podcast crews. This is Dennis in Texas. Just want to say congratulations on 500 episodes of the DCL Podcast. I started listening to the podcast back in 2019 as preparation for my first Alaska cruise. That was that summer. And I first started by binging all the Alaska content that you had released. And after that, I grew quite addicted to cruise reports and went back and listened to your entire catalog of shows. Since then, the podcast has become my weekly chance to live out cruise adventures vicariously through all your wonderful guests. And it's been a great thrill and honor to be a guest on your show more than a half dozen times and live my own cruise adventures with you guys. So congratulations again to all the hosts, past and present, Steve, Christy, Lake, and Nova. Keep up the great work, and I can't wait to hear the next 500 episodes.
Hey there, DCL Podcast. This is Joe, and I feel so lucky to have found the podcast many, many years ago. It is truly one of the most positive, inclusive, and helpful communities around. Congratulations on 500, and I wish you many, many more in the future.
As I said, we did throw this out here to the Patreons as well. I took all of the rankings that we had at the time of the recording, added them all up, and we got some total scores from them as well. Some things align pretty closely with us. Some others are a little bit surprising. But we have number 6, the Disney Wish. Number 5, the Magic.
Or Disney Wish,
number
by the way.
4, the Wonder. Number 3, the Dream. Number 2, the Fantasy,
That's
and
not
number
surprising.
1, the Disney Treasure. So what's funny is, other than the Wish, this is almost in order release, which I thought was interesting.
But no, what's right?
The other thing that I thought was interesting was the only ship that had neither a number 1 or a number 6 ranking was the Dream. And that includes our host list as well.
She's just sitting there in the middle.
She's Philadelphia.
The middle child.
Oh my gosh, Steve.
The middle child of the Disney fleet.
I
If you're
was
fulfilled.
so sure that that was some sort of like sports reference when you were like, it's like Philadelphia. I was waiting. And then you were like, a city that nobody loves.
I didn't say that they didn't love it. I love Philadelphia. I lived there for a year, and it's an amazing city, and I love going back to visit Philadelphia when I get a chance to. So if you're from Philadelphia, know that I love your city.
Wait, why did you live there?
When I was in the Air Force.
yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know Philadelphia was a big Air Force location either.
Well, it's
Okay.
the closest big city to where the base was.
It's a top secret.
Right?
Yeah.
Can't say. Can't talk about it.
That is interesting that the Dream fell right in the middle like that.
Yep. Again, just the fact that it was no one's number, like no one's highest or lowest, though, I thought was fascinating. It was the only ship that was like that. But guys, this has been a pretty long episode. So sadly, I think episode 500 has to come to an end. But it has been lovely to have all 4 of us back here again to share our Disney ship rankings. Nova, thank you so much for coming on and joining us.
Yeah, I've missed you. It was great. I couldn't miss 500. I love seeing your faces. I miss our banter. Steve is continuing to be wrong about Donald Duck's validity in the 5, but that's okay. That's okay. It looks like it's in great hands with you all, which I love.
We are doing our best, and it is always great to see and chat with you. We will definitely message about this treasure trip. But until then, Nova has never missed a time that I have been in Disneyland and has not made the time to come down and see us, which, again, is just a testament to the amazing person that her and her family are. So thank you again. But Steve, thank you for also coming on and joining us for episode 500.
No, thank you guys so much once again. And as Nova said, it was just fun to spend some time with you guys and laugh a little bit and in the banter as well. And it's good to see you, Nova. It's been too long.
Too long.
Well, Christy, this brings us to the end of the show.
So I just want to thank our community again. Oh my God, I'm going to tear up. Here's the thing. I've been podcasting for about 10 years, 2 before I joined Steve's podcast. But it has been so important to my mental health. I have made so many friendships and felt so much love from the community because of this and because of Lake. And then I've made so many friends in even the Run Disney community. And these are like real friends. And my best friends at this point are from Disney. And so I have some, friends from the past that are still very close to me. But my closest current friends are all from the Disney community. And honestly, I wouldn't have been able to even develop most of those and more in them as I had without this podcast. And so thank you, Lake, for continuing to do it with me and for all the work that you put into putting it out for us each week. And Steve, thank you for creating it in the first place and allowing me to join you. And you are all beautiful members of my family. And I am just so grateful. And I'm so grateful for this. And so thank you. Thank you for this.
I think a lot of people would be hard pressed to find friends that would over text say, hey, do you want to fly across the country, fly to another country, spend thousands of dollars to do this thing together? And for all 4 of the people in this little chat here to pretty much be like, yeah, within reason, it's going to happen. Steve and I are going to London and the UK together in 2 months. We've all cruised together. Steve and Christy have traveled to Europe and cruised together. Yeah, we have. It's just, you would be very hard pressed nowadays, I think, to find those type of people that would travel around and do that with. And then the rest of our community, again, our Patreons who are out there cruising with us too all the time, bringing us the info and the details as well as they're coming out. Like, just the absolutely amazing community that we've built here is truly special, and we can't thank you all enough for being a part of it, whether you are listening, supporting the show through Patreon, sharing the show, or again, just enjoying the content. We've had a lot of people just reach out recently and say, hey, we just appreciate the information that you put out. And that is value too.
100%.
Well, Steve, where can our listeners follow you?
Well, you can follow our little shenanigans over on Instagram. That's pretty much where I am these days. And it's DCL_adventurers. Go ahead, give us a follow or give me a follow. If you got any questions or DM, always respond to that too. So just always looking to have a little fun in the Disney and Adventures by Disney community, and always fun to follow along what you guys are doing and everybody else is doing out there too.
I'm off socials for my own mental health, but you can reach me through Christy, Lake, or Steve. So if you really need to get a hold of me, just say, hey, text this to Nova and I'll get it.
And Christy, where can our listeners follow you?
You can find me all over the internet at Pack Your Pixie Dust. And Lake, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and YouTube at MouseGen. And you can follow the podcast on Instagram and Facebook and get more information about the shows at dclpodcast.com. But that is going to do it for episode 500. Thank you all so much for listening and continuing to listen to our show. But that is going to do it for this episode of the DCL podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, I miss you.
Bye, everybody.
Well, that is going to wrap up our show. Once again, I want to thank all of my amazing co-hosts, Christy, Steve, and Nova, for helping make this show what it is. You're some of my best friends, and I'm so grateful that I get to do this show with you and also bring this show out to all of our listeners. Of course, thank you to all of our amazing Patreons, and especially those who have submitted audio for today's show. We really appreciate you, and it has all been super touching. But all of our Patreons make this podcast happen each and every week for us. But you've also made a lot of friendships, magic, and memories for both each other and for us as the hosts. We appreciate all of you and what you do each and every week for us. If you want to join our community, you can always help support us at patreon.com/DCL podcast. And of course, thank you to our listeners, whether you've been around for all 500 episodes or you've just started listening. We appreciate you being here and hope that you continue to listen. And we hope that we can continue to be a source of entertainment and a resource for all your Disney Cruise Line information. But whether you're boarding a cruise, enjoying a trip to the parks, or adventuring outside of Disney, on behalf of myself, Christy, Steve, and Nova, we want to wish you smooth sailing and safe travels. And we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.
Oh my God, who doesn't know how to podcast for the first time ever and is adjusting their microphone?
You said this wasn't being re-recorded yet, so there we go.
There's people listening, including
It's been
me.
a long time since I've had to do this, so I'm out of practice.
You recorded with me yesterday.
I actually forgot about that.
Oh my God, I'm going to murder you.